Hello, everyone. My name is Rob Gregson, and today we're going to discuss my research project on algorithms, but more specifically, how algorithms are having a tremendous effect on the youth, adolescents, and young adults in our society. To begin, you're probably wondering why we should study algorithms. Well, for one, the pure prevalence of algorithms in a multimedia format is staggering. So, obviously, we all know of social media. Apps like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, they all are inherently built on algorithms. That is, they have a foundation where the whole goal of the platform is to attract viewers through content, give them content that they would like to absorb, and then keep them coming back for more of that content. But it's not just social media. Think of Netflix, think of television, think of blogs and newspapers, even. The whole goal of an algorithm is just to create a process that is specifically curated to a user's wants. So, as multimedia continues to develop, along with the advent of artificial intelligence, algorithms are not going to go anywhere. And artificial intelligence and algorithms honestly have a symbiotic relationship where they work hand in hand together. But perhaps the most important reasoning behind understanding and studying algorithms is to really understand how social media use is so prevalent and why it's so important and the relationship it has with algorithms. From there, we want to discuss the whole purpose of this research, which is the potential issues with a high algorithmic exposure, particularly among young people. To start, there's a loss in individualism. That is, when users are constantly being absorbed and curated content that may not always be well representative of a wide variety of views or ideologies or anything of that nature, there's always going to be a lack of growth, a lack of development. See, the whole purpose of growing as an individual is to get out there, to have a variety of thoughts, of opinions, of ideologies that come to you and create you and mold you as a human. But if you're constantly being fed the same amount of information, whether it be politically or even something as harmless as food on like an app like TikTok, there's just going to be a lot of meat left on the bone, if you will, in terms of your overall development and curiosity. We specifically see that in adolescents and young adults where algorithms can have a huge impedance on their development. Once again, talking about a loss of expressionalism or individualism, if a young child to adolescent to teen to young adult never sees or explores a variety of interests, hobbies, or something more serious as we discuss, like political views, how are they going to really know what they like, what they want to talk about, their development as a person? It's going to be hindered if they constantly are seeing the same stuff on social media or watching the same shows on television or just being involved in the same routine. And that's something that algorithms inherently design, as we decided earlier, discussed earlier, when we pointed out the fact that their whole goal is to create a constant feedback loop that attaches a viewer. From there, and perhaps most concerning, is the increased rate of social media addiction. If an algorithm on an app like Instagram, whole purpose is to bring a user in to feed the user content that they resonate with, that they want to see, why does that user want to leave? And if they continuously just add new pieces of content, but in that same realm, that same sort of variety or same sort of concept when it comes to exactly what that user likes, whether it be cars or food or travel or politics, well, the user is just going to want to stick to that algorithm and to that app. And obviously, that is just a prevalent nature for social media addiction. So, to get into the meat of the research, the following hypotheses have been proposed. Our first one is that the more time that a Gen Z member spends on an application rooted in algorithmic design, the less they are going to be aware of topics and ideas that don't frequent social media. It goes back to our whole discussion on why an algorithm can inherently limit the development of a person, especially that one that is under the age of 25. If they stick to an algorithmic design, their overall views are going to likely be limited in terms of a wide scope of potential outcomes and just new understandings. And that brings us to our second hypothesis, which is that heavy Gen Z social media users are more likely to perceive the topics and content on algorithm based social media sites as being relevant and important compared to the real world and infrequent social media users. This is just basically saying that what you see on your television, on your phone, on your laptop is always going to be more important to you than to anyone else. So, if all I see is the same issues, or even for that matter, the same great parts of life, how am I going to know that there's more out there, or that there's bigger issues, or that this issue isn't a big deal? I'm likely not if I only stick to an echo chamber and a filter bubble of the same content. Now that we have our hypotheses discussed, we're going to talk about the method. The method within this research would be used via a survey. To test the first hypothesis, we will design a survey that asks Gen Z users about their exposure and their time spent on various social media platforms. From there, we would ask questions related to what they typically consume. That ties to the second hypothesis, where the survey will also ask Gen Z users about the rate in which they use social media. Respondents will then be questioned on how important they feel the content they consume on social media is in the real world, and this will give us a firm grasp of just how impactful algorithms can be on people, but particularly people under the age of 25. So, based on the proposed hypothesis, the method, and the research and the studies that have been described in this PowerPoint presentation, we have come up with the following expected results. Survey respondents that use algorithmic based applications on a regular basis are more likely to be unaware of common ideas, thoughts, and opinions that do not frequent their specific content stream. They would also be more likely to view what they consume as practical and important to the real world in comparison to those who don't use algorithmic based apps and platforms on a regular basis. So, in all, we've learned the impact that algorithms can have on a youthful dynamic, how prevalent they are throughout society, and then perhaps most importantly, the potential dangers and pitfalls of continuous algorithmic use among a youthful dynamic.